Dewan Rakyat approves Budget 2021. Government allows 10,000 ringgit withdrawal from EPF account 1. Hello and good evening. I'm Carlos and welcome to News at 10. Budget 2021, which is the first tabled by the government led by Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, has been approved at the policy stage with a majority voice vote. Speaker Dato Azhar Azizan Harun, who presided over the Dewan Rakyat session, put a budget to a vote at about 3:30 p.m. after Finance Minister Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz completed his winding up speech. Despite a request for a split vote by Pokok Sena MP Dato Mahfuz Omar, it was not conducted as there were no more than 15 members of Parliament or MPs who requested for such vote.
Sekarang saya kemukakan masalah bahawa usul di atas nama Yang Berhormat Menteri Keuangan di dalam aturan urusan mesyuarat ini diedarkan kepada jawatankuasa sebuah buah majlis. Ahli-ahli yang bersetuju kata bersetuju. Ahli-ahli yang tidak bersetuju kata tidak. Lebih suara yang bersetuju.
Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul tabled Budget 2021 on 6 November and 82 MPs spoke during the debate from 9th to 19 November. The relevant ministers began their wind-up of the debate on 23rd November before Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul wound up for the Ministry of Finance today. According to the Dewan Rakyat calendar, the budget will be debated at the committee stage for 10 days starting 30th November. Well, Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Ri'ayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has extended his gratitude to federal lawmakers today for provisionally approving Budget 2021. Comptroller of the Royal Household, Dato Ahmad Fadil Samsudin, in a statement said the King also welcomed the support given to Budget 2021, which would safeguard the well-being of Malaysians and economic recovery amid the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Well, apart from the economic recovery and the people's livelihood, Al-Sultan Abdullah said Budget 2021 is very important for the government and the authorities, especially the frontliners, to continue with policies and efforts to curb the pandemic. Well, as the head of state, Al-Sultan Abdullah has great respect for every political party registered in this country. His Majesty also appreciates the role and mandate entrusted to the MPs in defending the people's welfare. In this regard, Dato Ahmad Fadil said His Majesty is very appreciative of the commitment and spirit of consensus as well as the cooperation of each party because it is important to maintain the momentum of economic recovery for the benefit of all. The Employees Provident Fund's iSinar facility is now open to all EPF contributors whose income has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, while the maximum amount that can be taken out has been raised from 9,000 ringgit to 10,000 ringgit. Finance Minister Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said iSinar is now open to more than 8 million EPF members compared with only 2 million previously. According to Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul, EPF members can apply for the facility if they lost their jobs or experience a pay cut this year.
Tanpa mengira sama ada ahli tersebut bekerja sektor formal atau bekerja sendiri, tanpa mengira ahli aktif mencarum atau tidak, selagi terjejas pendapatan dengan ketara, bolehlah mengeluarkan simpanan dari akaun 1 KWSP.
He said contributors only need to apply online or go to any EPF branch and show proof of job loss, notice of no pay leave, or a cut in salary, allowance or overtime pay, or income reduction if they are self-employed. He added that most of EPF funds from contributions would be invested in long-term investment instruments rather than in the form of cash. Therefore, each unexpected withdrawal such as this required detailed and careful consideration. The government is committed to continuing to hold engagement sessions with the banking institutions in an effort to ensure their readiness to assist the people and businesses if the economic situation worsens. The Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said the government had announced an extension of the targeted moratorium for the low-income B40 group and small traders, where they only need to contact their banks and apply for the extension.
Bagi rakyat yang tidak tergolong dalam segmen-segmen di atas, mereka masih boleh mendapatkan moratorium dengan memohon kepada pihak bank masing-masing. Prinsip utama di sini adalah tanggungjawab dan keadilan. Adakah adil mereka yang kaya dan lebih dari mampu untuk membayar hutang diberikan moratorium? Bukankah lebih baik mereka membayar hutang supaya duit masuk ke sistem perbankan untuk menjana lebih banyak pinjaman, khususnya kepada perniagaan dan industri yang menampung dan mencipta pekerjaan untuk rakyat?
Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said Malaysia, through the Prihatin package, had become the first country in the world where its banking institutions have granted an automatic moratorium for 6 months to all bank borrowers with value estimated at almost 100 billion ringgit. In other news, Sime Darby Berhad posted a net profit of 281 million ringgit in the first quarter of its financial year ended 30th September 2020, 14.2% higher than 246 million ringgit in the previous corresponding quarter, on strong growth in the group's motor division, especially in China. Now, revenue in the quarter rose 14.8% to 10.9 billion ringgit, while profit before interest and tax climbed 17.6% year-on-year to 447 million ringgit. Sime Darby Group CEO Dato' Jeffrey Salim Davidson said operations in Greater China performed exceptionally, growing profits by more than 70% for motors and over 30% for industrial during the quarter. He said the motors division made a recovery, with most markets seeing increased profits due to the easing of restrictions that facilitated consumer spending.
And it's mainly due to the strong operations in motors business, but also the industrial business in China. I mean, China's been very strong for us. The revenue in total was up 14.8% at 10.9 billion versus 9.5 billion last year. And PBIT was at 447 million compared to 380 million last year. So some pretty good results, thankfully.
Speaking at a virtual briefing today, he said while it is an encouraging start to FY 2021, the group is mindful of the ever-present risk of the resurgence of COVID-19 that could adversely impact the global economy and our prospects ahead. Dr. Jeffrey added the board is cautiously optimistic that the group's financial performance for the financial year ending 30th June 2021 would be satisfactory based on the year-to-date results. However, he noted that the impact of the coronavirus outbreak in the remaining months of the year cannot be accurately estimated at this juncture due to uncertainties over the timing of the vaccine administration and the possible risk of a resurgence in COVID-19 cases. Well, the Kedah Police have not ruled out the possibility that the individual who shot at a General Operations Force or PJ personnel on duty at the Malaysia-Thailand border near Bukit Kayu Hitam yesterday afternoon was a member of a smuggling syndicate. Well, Kedah Police Chief Dato' Hasanuddin Hassan said that although investigations are still ongoing, the police did not rule out the possibility as the incident occurred at a location along a known smuggling route. In the 6:15 p.m. incident, the 26-year-old personnel suffered a light wound, which is a graze at the abdomen after being shot by an air rifle while conducting a patrol at the border area. Dato' Hasanuddin had said yesterday that the personnel was wearing a bulletproof vest, but the bullet was said to have hit an exposed part of his abdomen.
Satu kelibat manusia berada di situ dengan berpakaian gelap, berada berhampiran dengan pagar sempadan di sebelah negara Thailand. Jadi susulan pada tu anggota tadi itu telah bergegas balik ke pos untuk mendapatkan bantuan dan apabila berada di situ patah balik semula ke tempat kejadian itu dapati kelibat manusia tadi itu telah hilang ataupun tidak lagi berada di tempat tersebut. Jadi pengadu selepas itu pergi ke balai polis untuk buat laporan polis.
Briefing reporters today, he also urged the public to support the authorities' efforts in combating crime, especially at the country's borders. Well, meanwhile, 4 more suspects comprised of 3 local men and 1 Thai national who are believed to be involved in the fatal shooting incident on Tuesday have been remanded for 7 days starting today. And Perlis Police Chief Dato' Serina Saad said one of them is the main suspect, aged 45, who surrendered himself to the police and is believed to be the mastermind of Ketum Leave's smuggling activities. And as for the other 2 local suspects, Dato' Serina said they were arrested in a series of raids at a house near Padang Besar Perlis. The remand orders on the 4 men were issued by the Kangar Magistrates Court Registrar Monica Joseph Gaisa, who allowed the applications of the police. Well, a total of 22 individuals have been detained in connection with the incident so far, including 4 Thai nationals as well as 18 Malaysians. Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur announced that personnel from the Bukit Aman Criminal Investigation Department (CID) and Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department (NCID) will be mobilized to the border area to cripple any smuggling activities apart from strengthening the country's border control. While the police will also deploy the mounted police unit and increase the number of armored vehicles. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Ri'ayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has consented the conferment of Panglima Gagah Berani or PGB medal to the 2 General Operations Force PJA members who were involved in the shootout at the Malaysia-Thailand border 2 days ago. Well, according to Home Minister Dato' Sri Hamzah Zainuddin, the conferment of medal to late Sergeant Baharudin Ramli and Sergeant Nuri Hantari was in appreciation of their deeds and sacrifices in discharging their duties.
Saya sekali lagi mewakili pihak kerajaan ingin merakamkan ucapan takziah kepada keluarga mendiang Korporal Baharudin bin Ramli yang terkorban dalam insiden tersebut. Sebagai mengenang jasa dan pengorbanan anggota-anggota terbabit, saya bagi pihak kerajaan menjunjung kasih ke bawah duli Yang Maha Mulia Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong atas perkenan Baginda untuk menganugerahkan pingat Panglima Gagah Berani PGB kepada kedua-dua anggota terlibat.
Speaking at the Dewan Rakyat today, he said late Sergeant Baharudin, who was killed in the shootout, would be conferred the medal posthumously, adding that the government had always recognized the contributions of security forces personnel who discharged their duties bravely for the sake of the country's well-being. In the incident on Tuesday, late Sergeant Baharudin was killed, while his colleague Sergeant Norihan was seriously injured in a shootout with smugglers at border wall TS9 control post near Padang Besar, Perlis. Corporate companies and members of the public are encouraged to continue to contribute to the Tabung Pahlawan Campaign 2020 in order to help the veterans of the Malaysian Armed Forces, ATM. Senior Minister for Security, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the accumulated contributions have now reached 3.4 million ringgit, which is about 7 million ringgit short to achieve the target of 10 million ringgit contributions this year. He said that the fund had received more than 2 million ringgit from 9 different corporate companies recently, including from Yayasan Al-Bukhari, Spanco Sendirian Berhad, Mindtech Resources, as well as Usima Sendirian Berhad.
Kita akan teruskan kempen ini, dan saya amat mengharapkan supaya bukan saja syarikat korporat tetapi individu-individu juga memberikan sumbangan. Mereka boleh menyumbang secara online ataupun boleh menghantar cek kepada Jabatan Hal Ehwal Veteran, ya, ataupun bank in di dalam akaun Jabatan Hal Ehwal Veteran.
Speaking after handing over checks for Tabung Pahlawan Fund and ATM Veteran Foundation, the senior minister said the Veteran Foundation today has received 350,000 ringgit together with dialysis machines worth 80,000 ringgit apart from donations from Affin Hwang Investment Bank as well as Desatra Sendirian Berhad. Well, a total of 243 individuals were nabbed by the authorities yesterday for violating the standard operating procedures set by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Well, according to Senior Minister for Security, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, out of the total, 217 of them were compounded, while another 26 violators were remanded for further investigations. So in a released statement, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri explained that the most committed offence was not wearing face masks at public places, with 79 cases, followed by failure to observe physical distancing at 48. Well, other violations include business failing to record patron details, as well as crossing into districts or states under conditional movement control order without permission. Onop Benteng, the senior minister, said the police managed to detain 32 illegal migrants and 2 skippers, apart from seizing 10 land vehicles. Well, he added that a total of 280 roadblocks were conducted yesterday involving Op Penawa, Op Benteng PDRM and Op Benteng Aksem. He also said the government will take stern action against those who try to enter the country's borders illegally, and the enforcement agencies will tighten control of the border areas, especially at the illegal routes. Malaysia recorded 935 new COVID-19 infections today, with Sabah being the state with the most number of cases at 326. In a release statement, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah also said the country discharged 2,555 patients, once again breaking the record for recoveries in a single day. Now, there are also 3 new COVID-19 fatalities, taking the country's death toll to 348. Well, he said active cases have also gone down to 11,348. And the Health DG also reported that 6 new clusters have emerged throughout the country. 2 were reported in Sabah and 1 each was in Johor, Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Kedah and Kelantan. The 2 new clusters in Sabah were reported in Tawau. Now, the first is the Bot Biru cluster, where 17 were tested positive for COVID-19 as of today. And the second cluster, dubbed the Block 31 cluster, was also in Tawau, where 16 were tested positive so far. The Gemilang cluster in Johor Bahru involves a logistics company where 26 people were tested positive. In Kuala Lumpur, a cluster has emerged at the Sungai Udang construction site in Kepong. To date, 196 individuals have been screened, with 11 returning positive. The Chengal cluster in Machang, Kelantan has 15 positive cases so far, and the last new cluster is the Damar Laut cluster in the Timur Laut district in Pulau Pinang and the Padang Terap district in Kedah. Until today, there have been 13 positive cases linked to the cluster. The King today welcomed the commitment given by the Chinese government to Malaysia to be listed as a priority recipient country for the China-produced COVID-19 vaccine once it is successfully developed. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Ri'ayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah said this was made possible following the agreement achieved between Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Hishamuddin Hussein and his visiting Chinese counterpart Wang Yi during a meeting on 13 October. Comptroller of the Royal Household for Istana Negara, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Samsudin, said this in a statement issued today following a farewell ceremony held at the palace for the Republic of China's outgoing ambassador to Malaysia, Bai Tian. Now, at the ceremony today, the King also expressed his gratitude to Bai for the role he played during his 3 years of service in Malaysia, particularly in strengthening bilateral relations and cooperation between the 2 countries to a more comprehensive level. Bai, who served as an ambassador to Malaysia from 28th November 2017, will end his tenure on 27 November. Dato' Ahmad Fadil said Al-Sultan Abdullah also expressed his gratitude for the agreement for vaccine access that was signed virtually on 18th November between Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Khairi Jamaluddin and his Chinese counterpart Wang Zhigang. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur launched the Royal Malaysia Police Anti-Corruption Plan this morning as part of efforts to solve the issue of corruption among officers and members of the security forces. Well, he said the plan, which can help to preserve the police force's image, will be the framework for them to combat corruption activities for the next 4 years until 2024. Explaining further, Tan Sri Abdul Hamid said apart from facing negative perception from society, the force's image has been tarnished following the arrest of personnel and officers for drug and criminal offences as well as corruption.
Ingin saya mengambil kesempatan di sini untuk menegaskan bahawa Polis Diraja Malaysia tidak pernah sama sekali berkompromi dalam apa jua isu yang berhubung kait dengan perlakuan rasuah, pelanggaran peraturan atau undang-undang melibatkan warga pasukan. Saya amat yakin pelan anti rasuah PDRM ini dapat membentuk satu hal tuju nyata ke arah meletakkan PDRM di atas landasan yang betul.
The PDRM anti-corruption plan will underline 6 main thrusts, including human resource management, security intelligence, enforcement of law and order, as well as financial management and procurement. Based on the 6 strategic areas, 53 initiatives have been developed in order to encourage the values of integrity and competitiveness among the officers. The plan was collectively constructed by the Bukit Aman Integrity and Standard Compliance Department, JIPS. Well, we have more stories for you, but time is just not on our side. So, our top story this evening, Dewan Rakyat approves Budget 2021. Well, folks, do join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching and hope you have a great night ahead.